Well, many would argue you can't choose who you love. That's a sentiment not lost in Hollywood.
Yummy mummies and sugar daddies, call them what you will. When it comes to relationships, stars are winding back the clock.
Gonna take your mama out all night, yeah, we'll show her what it's all about.
In celebrity circles, nothing says I love you quite like the affections from your very own sugar daddy. And fear not, red carpet cougars, love most certainly knows no limits. But as these gaps grow in Hollywood, many are proving you can still find your perfect match at any age. Take Sophie Monk and her new fiancé, US-based French millionaire Jenny Easbag. Easbag is 20 years her senior. Catherine Zeta-Jones also said I do to an older beau. Michael Douglas is a quarter of a century older than his Hollywood bride. Harrison Ford fell for a young one. Ford and Callista Flockhart dated for 7 years before making it official, all the while ignoring the 22 years between them. There was no hiding Cruise's affection for Katie in the early days. He was hooked and happy. Holmes was 16 years his junior. It seems to be a case of second time lucky for screen goddess Demi Moore. She's sitting pretty with hubby number 3, Ashton Kutcher, who just happens to be a toy boy 15 years younger than the star. And it seems the trend is catching. Figures released by the Australian Bureau of Statistics show that women choosing partners 10 years younger has risen by 25%. So what's behind this new phenomenon, and do the relationships last?
Well, joining us to discuss this is journalist and TV personality Tracy Spicer and in Melbourne relationship expert Dr. Bella Ellwood-Clayton. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Now, Tracy, you've written many stories on the age gap issue. Your husband is 3 or 4 years younger. Not really a toy boy. Not really a toy boy, right?
Not really a toy boy.
What's the line? What's the number?
Look, I'd say it's about 10 years, although it's amazing the number of friends that say, oh, you dirty old cougar, you've got that toy boy, haven't you, even though it's only 4 years. And I must admit, I did think about that W.C. Fields thing when I got together with Jason. I thought, oh, excellent, because you're only as old as the man that you feel.
Yeah, that's perfect.
What about a relationship with a 20-year age gap? Yours is 4, but what about a 20-year age gap? What's your, what's been your observations as a journalist and someone who writes about this stuff?
Yeah, look, I think if the relationship is on a solid base, then it can work. For example, with Sophie Monk, and her frog, her Prince Charming, if that's based on more than just money, then it can work. I mean, look at Christy Hins and her partner, many years older, almost a grandfather figure, but she seems to admire his intellect. They seem to have a really great spark. So I think as long as the relationship has a good basis, that's fine.
Bella, what do we know about these relationships? Are they actually on the rise?
Well, they certainly are on the rise. We're not in the 1950s anymore, and where restrictions about who we love aren't so tight. Now we're dating, post-divorce, interracially, and with very wide age gaps.
Okay, any particular reason why you think it's happening?
Well, certainly if you look at men, they have historically and cross-culturally chosen younger women. So why is this? There's a number of different perspectives. From an evolutionary perspective, men seek women who are fertile and young. From a gender perspective, men might choose a younger woman as a status object. And from a psychological perspective, perhaps men are choosing younger women to ward off their own mortality.
I'm liking the evolution argument myself.
Yeah, but what about the women? It's the women choosing the younger men thing which is on the rise, Bella. Why is that in particular happening?
It's very interesting. It really is the first time in history that the sexuality of older women is being celebrated. And I think that reflects our growing political, social, and economic power. We're getting to have a lot more decisions these days.
Tracy, what sort of problem is a large age gap, like your 40 months difference between you and your man?
Really.
But let's talk about the other ones, the 10, the 20, even the 40 and 50-year age gap. What sort of problems do they represent, do you think?
Look, there can be problems in that it's almost a generational thing. Look at how quickly life's moving, Twitter and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But I think if the older partner, for example, in the case of Demi Moore, can keep up with all the modern trends, and sometimes there's a great symbiotic relationship with that age difference that, the younger one can keep the older one just that little bit younger as well.
Okay, so, but what are the odds a relationship will last the distance?
Well, there has been some research that has shown if women marry men who are slightly younger, there is a chance that the marriage won't be quite as successful. However, I really think we face the same hurdles, whether what age we are in love. It's tough. It's tough in the modern age to keep and maintain romantic love.
Okay, Tracy, this happens every day all around the world, but we focus on the celebrity ones, do you think? Why do you think it has become so common in the celebrity world, or hasn't it, and we're just focusing on the little ones that happen?
I think it has, because it's that kind of industry where there's a great disparity of wealth and of power. There's always wealthy movie executives and stars, predominantly male, and young up-and-comers, predominantly female. And so that's why it works in that kind of world.
Okay. Something to celebrate, though.
Especially the sexuality thing.
Yeah, we love that. Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks, guys.
And thank you, Bella, too. That's fantastic. Thank you, team.